0, 1. Let's get started.
Hello and welcome back, traders. In today's episode, I'll be sharing with you all my exact S&P 500 game plan for tomorrow's market session on October the 29th, okay? So let's get right into things so you can understand what you need to know to make the most money. Now, this is AMD's chart, so if you want to see the video I made on AMD, then simply just go back in the catalog. But for today, like I said, we're talking about the SPY, okay? Now, with the SPY being present here, let's kind of zoom in and zoom out just a bit. And I think the most important thing kind of coming into today is the fact that we do have this range potentially forming right here in the midpoint, okay? So I'm going to save that range there as well as this range down below, and we'll get rid of everything on the chart besides that. So with that being said, as you can see right now, it's a little bit cleaner and easy to see. And with that being said, the prevailing breakout of the blue range is kind of my more important thing that has my eye, okay? Now, just visually looking at it, I can see that this is a relatively big move going up, obviously bullish, and in its structure going higher, it's oddly looking like it may even be forming 1 to 2 variations in which we'll be playing the same way, okay? This is either going to be a wedge in the formation of happening, and it's pretty decently clear because there are levels of resistance overhead, as well as some dictated levels underneath as support, giving it like that wedge-like construction, okay, or structure. So from this position, we're basically looking for the market to pull back, giving us a buying opportunity, and then looking for a retest of this prior high, okay? Now with a wedge, it does come with a little bit of intricacies, so we will have to talk about that in tomorrow morning's live stream at 9:30. So be sure to join me there so you can see me trade this live on the futures chart, trading the ES, okay? Now with that being said, again, we are looking for a pullback here. So we should see some sort of 1, 2, 3 pullback that should be relatively deep to get us underneath this prior level of support. And then we can simply now look for buying opportunities off of that low as we look to return back up to the upside, okay? Now, to me, visually, this looks super appealing, and I would probably put this as my primary variation coming into tomorrow. Now, obviously, things can change, which is why we have the live stream, but for right now, this looks like the number one idea for me, okay? Now, other than that, like I said, it comes in 2 different variations. You could argue and say that this is a cascade going higher, but if you are arguing that concept, you're basically looking at the same variations, because in that situation, you're just trying to get underneath prior lows. And in this circumstance, it's probably going to be that low right here, which is the same low that we're trying to tackle, okay? Now, before I go into the second alternative variation for like a bull case scenario, now that we're here, I'm going to mention the bear case scenario, okay? We are expecting, obviously, the market to bounce somewhere right around this 684 level. But if it doesn't, and you notice that the market basically falls off of this level extremely hard on strength, now we're changing momentum. That's changing the structure of the market, which means that typically speaking, on a pullback now, we're actually going to be looking to sell this market, coming all the way back down to what would be the prior low in this scenario, okay? So just be aware that this is the second alternative path, and it's a little less likely given where we are right now. But again, if we do gap down or just find ourselves at these lows, now you have a better game plan and structure for how to trade it, okay? Primarily, the odds say you want to sell this thing than trying to buy this dip here, okay? Now, lastly, everyone, I do think that there's the variation that could possibly happen. We have experienced a lot of ranges as of late. So in this scenario, if we do just go immediately higher, okay, but we don't eclipse the high by some magnitude of degree, and you just notice that we kind of pop back down, okay? If we get that scenario, we would be looking at this more than likely as a range, okay? Now, in a range scenario and in range environment, we're basically then just looking to rotate back up into the range and back below the range and continuing that overall movement, okay? Now, we would have to define this, obviously, and find the midpoint and all that stuff. But just like we always do, we would find the midpoint when it's actually like live on the chart. And for right now, we could arguably say that this is the midpoint, just given the small data that we do have, okay? So that's going to be the midpoint, just to show you an example of how to find this tomorrow if you're not watching the live stream. It should be roughly something like so, a few deviations above and below. And then you can also do the bottom to find your levels of support as well, which is a bit more cleaner. And as you can see now, we have that range, okay? So as we rotate above and below and above and below and all this good stuff, just know that the prevailing trend is clearly bullish, okay? Now that bullish nature makes the buying of the dips a lot more profitable and higher percentage of happening, okay? So as we finally define the range in this scenario, just know that you want to be a buyer versus trying to sell the tops, just because there's more variations that can morph and unfold that would lead the bears to being stuck, okay? I.e. this example right here, as you can see, we are looking for a bigger pullback, okay? The green scenario is my primary scenario, right? However, as you can see, the secondary scenario is a potential range here, which foils this bigger pullback, which again is why you ultimately want to be a buyer instead of trying to sell, because typically it doesn't have to fall down, much like in this scenario that I'm trying to illustrate for you right now, okay? So that's pretty much the three most important ways I think you need to view the S&P 500 for tomorrow's market session on the 29th, okay? But again, I have a live stream where you can come in and see exactly how I'm trading the futures market, trading the ES, and you can see me exactly use these strategies on a real-time scale, okay? So that is something of interest. Do yourself a free favor and come on back here at 9:30 so you can see the YouTube live stream. And then you can also look down below so you can check out the Discord/Patreon and perhaps even learn this system for yourselves, okay? So I just want to say thank you for giving me some of your time, everyone, and I'll be sure to see you all on the very next candle.
I know it's hard to trust so-called gurus. That's why I live stream my trades every single day, Monday through Friday, starting at 9:30 a.m. The live stream isn't for you to copy my trades, it's to show proof and credibility that my strategy works. The stream is delayed and muted to protect my edge. But if you want to see everything unmuted and in real time, check out the Discord and Patreon links below. You'll get exclusive perks and the opportunity to learn the system for yourself, so you don't miss great opportunities just like this one.
All right, everyone. So you're going to be seeing a trade that I just recently took live during the stream, and ultimately you can be a part of this too, so make sure you look down below. But when taking a look at the trade that we just recently took here, it was the objective coming in was the fact that we had a really big move push to the upside, okay? Now this big move to the upside was basically counterplayed by a pullback, and subsequently our entry was to look to get in right above a couple pivots to retest the prior high, okay? So what you're seeing right now is the replay of my actual entry, which was right here at this 68.1925 area. And again, ultimately, like I was saying before, our main objective from this standpoint is to look to try to retest this prior high back at 68, let's just say 38. So what we are looking at right now is my volatility-based stop loss in perfect action, okay? Every trade and every day has a different stop loss based on the volatility of the day specific. So when taking a look at this trade specifically, you can see that we came relatively close to getting stopped out, okay? However, we did not get stopped out, and we ultimately reversed just like we were expecting. Now, obviously a bit deeper of a correction, but everything was within the wheelhouse of what we were expecting. As you can soon see here in just a few seconds, we ended up getting that first target as it hits right there. And then with a little bit more patience, we did end up getting the second target as well. Now just be aware, after you get your first target, you do want to stop the risk, which is why we did pull the stop up to right around and or above our entry pivot, okay? Now from this standpoint, again, we were just waiting, being patient. And I was referencing in this part of the video what we talked about in our afternoon game plan videos, okay? I was basically saying that we were looking at this in terms of that green case scenario that we mentioned on our nightly recap videos, and that we were essentially looking for a continuation going higher, okay? Now we kind of phased that back to where we were. We did have that bigger move that went up, and now this is the three-legged pullback, and again, the retest to the high. Now, at the very least, I am expecting it to retest the high and potentially continue going higher, which is why we have those targets above us, okay? But in essence, we ended up getting that next target with a bit of patience. Definitely some patience was required. And then we ended up tightening up our stop loss and then getting trailed out without hitting the extension, okay? Now, all in all, this was a $2,500 trade. So if you want to be a part of the situation just like this, then be sure to look down below for the Discord/Patreon links, or come and join the muted, delayed live stream every 9:30 here on the YouTube channel.